Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim Matthews. Tim, how you doing, brother?
Doing very well. Very well indeed.
Tim,
You?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I
Good.
got family coming into town here in a little bit, so it's going to be great. We're doing kind of a pseudo memorial for my grandmother's passing, and it'll be fun because my brothers together and everybody here at my house. So hosting, which is always a good thing, takes a lot of prep. But Tim, I don't know if you saw this. There was a guy, we'll call him David. That's his name. He's in the Facebook group. So guys, if you're in our Facebook group, it's a free community. I just want to read to you what he posted because it really touched me. And we get these all the time. I know you see them all the time, Tim. So it's easy for you and I to get a little jaded on these. But he says, and guys, just so you know, we're going to answer one of the questions that you guys have posted here in the group in just a moment. But David says, good morning, guys. About 6 weeks ago, my wife told me she wanted a divorce. Straight up blindsided me, as you can imagine. I received my login information on September 21st and went straight to work on the Powerful Marriage Reset. It has been amazing. It has changed everything with my wife and I. We are communicating, spending time together, and laughing together. I believe my kids are seeing the change also and are in a better position. I've been watching the podcast. I'm looking forward to the next steps. Thanks. It just always touches my heart to see it. And you and I talk about it. It's easy to get jaded because you and I get these messages on a daily basis, but we never really publicly talk about them. So I just want to give David a shout out because David took another step to further his growth. He turned his marriage around. And we're seeing guys do this every single day. And it's not just about their marriage because they're really turning themselves around and their lives around and their businesses around. And they all go hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure. It's incredible, right? To be there, take action off his own back, just went into it, invested, took imperfect action. I'm sure he had some questions, but he just dived in. And he then even went into the activation method as well because I wanted to take it a step further. So, yeah, amazing. Kudos to you, David.
Yeah, it is. And guys, if you like, I know a lot of you guys don't have the time to always be in the Facebook group and see all the posts. There's some amazing stuff there. And the alumni, you guys are in our private community. If you guys like that, maybe Tim, you and I can read one of these a day or per podcast and just, share some inspiration from guys that, are on one side of the fence or one side of the journey, I should say, and have made it to the other side. And we'll share the trials and tribulations with you guys as well. As men come through, because it's not always smooth sailing. Generally is, but not always. And so we really tried in the activation method specifically to help guys so they can weather that storm when it comes through. But Tim, I'm going to the private community here, and I got a question that came up. And so for people that know, we have a private community off of Facebook for not only alumni of the program, but also men currently going through the activation method. And so this guy's name's Travis, and he's talking about his wife's resentment. And he got some great advice from the other men in the program here. But I thought you and I could just touch on this for a minute, Tim. His question goes like this. And this is what Travis is saying. We have lived in the same area since finishing college. My wife still holds it against me that we settled near my family and not hers. I have offered to move away, but she refuses. She constantly brings it up, and she constantly brings it up when she gets frustrated about things. Any suggestions to a newbie here are appreciated. Now, Travis got a lot of great comments from Preston, from Brian, from Derek, and from Greg. But I thought you and I could just talk about this for a minute, Tim. And what advice would you give him?
Oh, if he isn't okay with this continually getting brought up, then he gets to make that known, right? But more importantly, if it was me, I'd want to understand why it keeps getting brought up. I know it says when she's frustrated. So it's not okay if it is when she's frustrated to just take it out on him in that way. But at the same time, I wonder whether there is some truth underneath it. But more importantly, where is she not feeling supported from him? Right?
Sure.
Is she not feeling supported from him? Because I imagine the reason why she wants to be around a family, or one of the reasons why, maybe for that support and that connection. And if she feels like instead of him giving it to her, he is maybe investing it elsewhere, then maybe resentment that's building. But anyway, I'd look at the reason why. Maybe she's told him, maybe she hasn't. Um, and then I'd also make sure that she was clear that it isn't okay for her to take her frustration out on him in this way. And if there's an issue there, we get to actually get to the root of it and fix it versus continually bringing it up.
Yeah, I agree. So I've, to Travis and the other people out there, I've faced something very similar to this. So for my wife, family is everything, right? And our family, so our kids and my wife and I, but then also her side of the extended family in particular. And we live in the United States. We live in Oregon, and her family lives in New England. So, this is a conversation my wife and I have had similar but different, right? Several times, because it's not as much as the resentment that Travis is feeling here. So, what I would do in this situation, Travis, is one, exactly what Tim just said. I would sit her down and really find out what's going on. And really, as we talk about collecting her berries in her basket, keep going like, well, what else? Well, what else? You got to create that safe environment for her to be able to share all those what else's. Because if she doesn't feel safe in that time, then it's not going to work. So you really have to practice, as Greg says in the comments for you, Travis, engaged indifference, and really just be that open, loving hearted guy that, that she married, that she can share everything with, and let her get it all out. Right. And also let her know that she can talk about more stuff if there's more later. I know in some situations, guys want the finite answer. We do, and I do. But you also, for feminine energy to really flourish, you have to give them kind of a door to come out. Then I would set boundaries. Right? Great. Right? If you don't want to move away, fine. Let's find a solution, but you can't use this against me ever again. I'm not here to stand for that. And, if you start using this against me, that is manipulation. And that's not the kind of marriage or relationship that I choose to be in and want to be in, because it doesn't serve you or me at our highest good. Would you agree? And make sure you get buy-in from that, right? And that's the key. Otherwise, it comes across as an order to her, like, I'm telling you what to do. Make sure she agrees, and chances are she will. She knows she doesn't want to be manipulative. I mean, who does? No one wants to be manipulative per se, or perceived that way even. And so make sure you've drawn that line in the sand, and she will test you. She will test to see if that line is, is it a line in the sand that, she could easily just blow and the line moves back, or is it almost like a wall that you can't move it, and that line is there. So if she crosses it, you got to call her on it, and you really got to say, and lovingly say, nah, we had a conversation about this. If something's changed, we can have another conversation, but I won't let you use this resentment against me. What's really going on here? Because chances are, as Tim said, that resentment is coming from someplace else. It's just coming out in this way. There's something else that's going on for her. She's lonely. She misses her family, which is a natural thing. And then why doesn't she want to move away? First of all, courageous for you, Travis, for being willing to do that, right? That shows that you're willing to do something. And my theory is oftentimes in these situations, when someone's complaining about something, let's just use your wife as an example here, with all due respect, of course. And she's saying, well, I need to move near my family. And then when the offer comes up to do so, and she doesn't jump all over it, then there must be a fear in her that if you move there, that something else will happen or won't happen. Now, she could be worried that my wife's concern is that I will resent her if we move towards the East Coast of the United States, right? That's her worry. And we've talked about it openly. And maybe your wife has something similar, or maybe her concern is that if she moves close to her family, her problems won't magically go away. And she has nothing else to blame her unhappiness, depression, lack of motivation, success on. We see, as a guy that's been doing professional business consulting, you see this all the time with business owners, right? They complain about something. Maybe it's a key employee, maybe it's lack of opportunity or whatever else it is. And you eliminate that barrier, or you try to, and they freak out because now you're testing their story about how really good of a business guy they are. And, they don't want to lose that. They don't want to lose the wet blanket. They don't want to lose their safety net, because the ego is very fragile, and, your wife's going to be the same. If she's got a story that life is going to be better on, let's just say, the East Coast or where her parents are from, living there, but in the back of the recesses of her mind, she knows it might not be, you start playing with that identity for her. So, like Tim said, find out what the real issue is, have a great conversation with her, maybe pour a glass of wine or something, be in that fun, playful energy, come in with engaged indifference, and set very firm boundaries that she cannot use this against you moving forward because it doesn't serve her or you to your highest level.
Great advice.
Yeah, I think it's a great one. And I think the great thing about this, Tim, is you got Preston in here really offering advice, and Brian. I love Brian's advice. Sounds like he's been there too, Derek and Greg. So, Travis is in a great space. And guys, for a lot of you guys, you're going to experience this where the women in your lives are, they're coming at you, right? And they're coming at you for reasons, and you go immediately into fix it mode. Cool. You're unhappy. We live here. Let's just move. And Tim nailed it on the head. What's the real reason? Right? Until you get to the root of that, you will not get anywhere. You'll just move. And there you are. And you'll move again. And you'll move again. And the problem will still persist until you get to the root of the issue. So you really want to make sure you get to the root of that issue first and foremost. It's like gardening, right? If I go into, I have a little over an acre in my house. If I go in the back and I decide to do some gardening, and we got aspen trees and they grow everywhere. So if I just cut the tops of those aspen trees out, maybe I just mow over them because that's just easy and kind of fun. I mow over them. Then what's going to happen? Well, it looks good for a little while until those aspen trees just grow right back. Then I can cut them again. I can go through this whole process of taking out these weeds, so to speak, and they keep growing back unless I get my shovel and dig deep down, because the roots are deep, dig them out by the roots and remove them permanently. And that's what we get to do with our partners. That's what we get to do when we find out what's really going on. What is it that's really going on? Another conversation that may be helpful as an example is my wife and I had an agreement, on spending, right? The two biggest things, one of the biggest things people fight about in a relationship is finances. It wasn't about the money. We have plenty of money. It was more about, we had an agreement based on something that she wanted for spending. And she violated that agreement boundary. I called her out on it lovingly, but also very firmly. And then I asked her a question. I said, are you spending money because you need this, or are you spending money to fill a void? And we sat down and had a great conversation about it. And guess what, guys? She wasn't spending the money because she needed the stuff. Okay, where's that void coming from? Where are you not getting fulfilled? What's really going on here? And she didn't recognize it. My wife's a brilliant woman, but she didn't see it until we sat down and had a conversation about it. The key, though, the conversation was loving. It was safe, but I was still firm about my boundary. We had an agreement. You violated that agreement. Why? Let's talk about it, right? And again, it was a small thing, right? Money comes and goes. You can make it. You guys get all that. And so that's the same thing here with you, Travis, and the other guys experiencing things like that. The clean slate method is a great way to try to wipe the slate clean. But I really recommend, using something like the hidden motives technique to start that conversation and let your wife know that she's safe.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great question. So, guys, we'll be pulling more of your questions from the groups, both, our private community as well as Facebook. But I'm going to really encourage you guys to get out there, kind of like David did when I first talked about it coming in through here. Get on the Facebook group, guys. It's a great community of men just like you. And we really consider ourselves a movement of men. And we encourage you guys just to share the good, the bad, the ugly, what's going on. It doesn't have to just be about your marriage. It can be about other aspects of life. Guys are in there sharing all kinds of things, deepening not only the relationships with their family, but commonly guys are finding friends across the world that didn't even know they had. So gentlemen, your call to action today is get over to that Facebook group and make a post, introduce yourselves. I'd love to see you guys out there. And I know Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews, would as well. Gentlemen, have a great day, and we'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.